Prior to the Asian family affair was the Kapisanan, which means brotherhood in Filipino. Nemesio Domingo was the one who founded that newspaper and got us involved. But to set the stage, we knew from the Dome Stadium demonstrations that we weren't getting the right reporting on what we were doing, particularly when Barbara Tanabe said that it was a bunch of thugs. And even in the news, it said it was a bunch of thugs, disrupting a groundbreaking ceremony. So we needed to get our news across. Now, Nemesio had this vision about a community newspaper to do that. People like me didn't understand, because I'm not a communications major. I didn't know the power of the press, other than, in history books, you had Tom Paine with his pamphlet and stuff like that, and exhorting the masses. But Nemesio said we needed our own political mouthpiece, to talk about what we were doing and what we planned to do, to report it from an Asian perspective. So he came up with the Kapisanan. And the Kapisanan, I don't know how many issues we had, maybe 4 or 5, but we found this hippie press in Georgetown that would do it at cut-rate prices. It was Georgetown Pre-Press, There was a bunch of hippies that were doing it because they had a printing press and they wanted to do this mass media thing. We said, that's cool, we can use them. And when I say hippie, I don't say it derogatory, because a lot of us were, we're into it. But it was one way we could describe this counterculture where we could go and get our papers printed free. And they had cheap newsprint that we could use, so we had the Kapisanan printed there. But then there was a group that decided that the Kapisanan wasn't going to be the vehicle because it didn't have stability. Nemesio was looking for someone else to be its editor, and so Sabino Cabildo became its editor. But then he didn't want to be its editor, so he was asking around who wanted to be the editor of the week or the editor of the month for the Kapisanan. And so I was going through the hub, and there was Diane Wong, and who became an attorney and married Gary Locke. That was his first wife. And then Norman Marr, who later became the psychologist for the police department, Seattle. So we all go different places after the movement. So it's interesting where we end up. And then Al Sugiyama. And I was walking through the hub on my way to study, of course. But anyway, they stopped me. Says, Frank, why don't you join us? We're talking about the Kapisanan. So I joined them. They were talking about, believing they could do better with the Kapisanan, but they needed to somehow get hold of it. And so the plan was actually a coup, a coup d'etat. I would accept being editor from Sabino. And then after I became editor, I keep the title, and then we would take over the newspaper with our own core group of folks that were ready. And so that's what we did. I told Sabino I was going to take charge of the newspaper. He said, no problem, take it. So I took it, and we met at the Ethnic Cultural Center, and that's where we decided that this is how we would do the newspaper. And then we had to come up with a name that was non-threatening, so there's names like Rice Paper or Bamboo Press. But there was a song out by Sly and the Family Stone. It's a family affair. And someone goes, Asian family affair. So we go right on. You're very harmless, right? Asian, and then family. And so that's where we got the name, Asian Family Affair. And that's where we put the paper together, was at the Ethnic Cultural Center. This is one thing we're thankful about the university. It spawns people like us to do good for the community by providing us with the resources, even though they didn't know it.